Oh boy. They have just released patch notes that are the likes of which we haven't seen since the Omega patch, which had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of changes. Now these aren't quite that large, but they're the largest thing since then. And by God, we're gonna go through every single one of them. So let's pass it over to our... He told me I had to say professional. Let's pass it over to our resident professional. Here we go. Hello! Welcome back to the newsroom! Oh my God, it's so dusty in here. Fire the new janitor. What? We don't have a janitor. Why don't we have a janitor? Because we fired the last... I know I told you to fire the last janitor. You're supposed to get a new one. How does he run this place? Hello! I'm so sorry. Let's continue. All right. New changes today. Big changes. I don't believe in preparation, so we're going to read it live. Here we go. Greetings, fellow Tyrians. You know what? Can you guys read this? Can we... Do we need to do... big magnification? Greetings, fellow Tyrians. We've prepared a balance update that is slated for next week, and in keeping with our push to get the release notes due early so that you can theorycraft, discuss, and prepare, quick comment, these release notes are not complete, and in particular, the Thief has more changes that we weren't able to get localized for this early posting. We also intended to call out the first bullet in the Necromancer section in its overview, as it is a pretty significant change, and with that said, here they are, enjoy. July 7th, 2020. Items. Rune of the Weaver. This rune set no longer grants barrier when using leap finishers, but instead grants barrier upon using a stance skill. That's going to probably mean it's usable less often. You could do a leap finisher much more often than you could do a stance skill. In most cases, we'll see how that pans out. Use the wiki patch. Oh, that's right! Somebody sent me these earlier. Here you go. All right. Magnification. Alright, same thing, it's just on the wiki. Superior Rune of the Mirage. This rune set no longer grants 3 seconds of super speed when using leap finishers, but instead grants 5 seconds of super speed when using an elite skill. Again, usable less often. This effect has a cooldown of 10 seconds. I don't know that there's a single elite skill that has a cooldown of less than 10 seconds, so it's going to be up every time you use an elite. Icons for Daze and Stun are now displayed in light purple and skill and trait tooltips. Thank God. Updated the language for traits that affected specific profession skills to be more generic. This change helps account for elite specializations that have different versions of those skills. For example, traits that affect Mind Rack now state that they affect Shatter, Skill 1. That's actually really good. When I first played Necro, I was very confused when, the Death Shroud ability to use Transfusion. It's F4, but it had the name of the ability. It didn't say F4, it had the name of the skill. But when you're a Scourge or Reaper, it still works with F4, but it's a completely different skill name, and that confused me for a while. Elementalist. In this balance iteration, we're looking at the Elementalist's Grandmaster Fire traits. Persisting Flames is expected to push into more of a damage over time role, while Pyromancer's Puissance is getting a few changes focused toward group support and burst damage. With these changes, we are also looking to slightly reduce burning damage output in order to keep overall damage from going significantly higher in raid rotations. Let's see if the reduce burning damage output line is in the Guardian section. I ain't worried about Weavers. Let's continue. Persisting Flames. This trait no longer grants Fury when using a blast finisher with a fire combo field. Instead, this trait will now grant the Elementalist an additional 1% damage for 15 seconds for each target struck with a fire field, stacking up to 10 times. So big rewards for fire field combos. Pyromancer's Puissance. In addition to granting might for each ability used while in Fire Attunement, this trait will now trigger Flame Expulsion when leaving Fire Attunement or finishing Overload. After a brief delay, the Elementalist releases a Fire Explosion at their location that removes up to 10 stacks of might from the Elementalist and grants might for 15 seconds to nearby allies, based on the amount of might removed, while the damage of the explosion is increased by 10% per stack removed. So if you have 10 stacks of might, You do plus 100% more damage with this, and give allies 10 stacks of might. Boonfire Ellie. Searing Slash, burning duration of this skill has been reduced from 6 to 4. Primordial Stance, burning duration has been reduced from 3 to 2. PvP and World v World versions remaining at 1.5. Bleed duration reduced from 8 to 6 globally. Power Overwhelming, reduce prerequisite might stat threshold from 10 to 8 in PvP World v World. Healing Rain, reduce cooldown by 5. Windborne Speed, reduce cooldown by 5. Shockwave, reduce cooldown by 5. Ice Spike, reduce cooldown from 8 to 6 in PvP and World v World only. Lightning Surge, reduce cooldown from 10 to 6. What is Lightning Surge? Staff to air. Damage and blind foes. Oh my. A 10 to 6 second cooldown in PvP and World v World, but reduce the power coefficient barely. They're barely reducing the damage of it, but ooh, they're going to be able to blind you a lot more often. Mist Form increased by 15 second cooldown. Obsidian Flesh increased by 10 in PvP only. Hardy Conduit reduced protection duration from 3 to 2. So less often invulnerable, less often invulnerable, less often protected. All of these glyphs will now properly put all attunement variants on interrupt cooldown when interrupted. What that means is that before, if you used the fire glyph of storms and someone interrupted you and then you just swapped elements, it was available again. Cheaters. Now they are all properly interrupted. Engineer. Yes, I have linked it. There you go. Engineer. With this update, we revisited the shield and its trait and found while its function remains reasonable, it needed a few improvements to both its messaging and potency as a defensive tool. A couple of main hand pistol skills also received enhancements to their condition duration, as they've been lagging behind a bit, even kit auto attack options. Fragmentation Shot increased bleed duration from 5 to 6. I believe that's pistol 1? Yes, it is. Poison Dart Volley increased poison duration from 7 to 9 in PvE only. Hip Shot, I believe that's rifle 1, that's rifle auto. Skill now includes piercing in its tooltip, so it already did that, but now it says it. Magnetic Shield, this now displays a ring to indicate the area it will affect. Improve the tooltip to include more information. So if you see an engineer holding a shield and there's a big ring around them, they're getting ready to knock back everyone around them, and you can see it before it happens by the or around them. Static Shield, increase the block duration of this skill from 2 to 2.5 seconds, improve the tooltip for clarity. Overshield, this trait has been reworked. It now causes the player to activate a skill that grants protection to nearby allies when using a shield skill. Wait, so like it pops up like a special action button? So what it did before was shield skills have 20% recharge reduction and grant protection to nearby allies when you press them. And then protection on you lasts longer. Now it causes the player to activate a skill that grants protection to nearby allies using a shield skill. Oh wait, so maybe it's no longer going to give 20% reduction? And it's no longer going to give you more protection? I don't know. It depends if they're tweaking that one thing or if this means that's replacing the whole thing. That sounds like a nerf to me. But it depends if they're getting rid of the 20% and the increased longevity of protection. I guess I'll have to wait and see. Soothing Detonation. What was it before? When you trigger a combo using a blast finisher, allies nearby are healed. Now, the trait has been reworked. It now heals in an area around the engineer each time they use a tool belt skill, instead of when using a blast finisher with a fire combo field. That's going to be a lot more healing. They can smash the tool belt a lot more often than they can do blast finishers. Especially if they've got something like a rifle turret, that tool belt button is up all the time. That's wild. This trait will now grant barrier to the engineer each time they use control effects on a foe, in addition to causing the function gyro to daze foes. So this trait did not give barrier at all before, now it does. So they've got even more barrier coming now. They've got even more. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay, I see a fight going on in Twitch chat. Yes, they said that the thief notes are incomplete. There's more coming. Speed of Synergy, this trait has been reworked. It will now grant super speed for 5 seconds to allies in a radius of 240 around the engineer when using a healing skill. Using a healing tool belt skill gives the engineer 7 seconds of super speed. What did it do before? Using a leap finisher grants you super speed, using blast does it to those around you. Now it's when using a healing skill. That's insane. Why is Mook's camera bouncing? Because I have bouncy legs. I have the nervous energy. I will try to stop, but I make no promises. It is my legs. They are very excited. Incendiary ammo. Reduced cooldown from 50 to 40 seconds. Flame Blast. Increased burning duration by 1. Air Blast. Adjusted burning from 2 stacks for 2 to 1 stack for 5. Smoke Vent. Reduced cooldown from 20 to 15. Toss Elixir S. That's the MOA one. Reduce cooldown by 30. Ooh, we might see a lot more engineers turning us into chickens, y'all. Med pack drop. Reduce cooldown down to 50. They're trying to make the other elite skills viable, because no one uses them. Orbital Strike. Reduced cooldown from 40 to 20 in PvP and World v World. Reduce power coefficient from 1.3 to 0.9. That's like a 25% decrease, but it's usable twice as often. Orbital Strike is... did it call down energy from the sky to blast the target? Pressures a parent skill elite mortar kit. Alright. That's kind of scary. Shrapnel Grenade. Now, for anyone who's not following Engineer and PvP lately, a lot of people consider grenades to be OP. One of the people that did very well in the recent Masters of the Arena MODA tournament, go subscribe to Mighty Teapot. Mighty Teapot. The one person made grenades suddenly famous, and they're doing really well. Shrapnel Grenade, increase cooldown from 5 to 6 in PvP. Reduce the power coefficient from 0.6 to 0.56. That's not going to do anything. This isn't even the skill that it's blowing me. It's Grenade Barrage that's like one-shotting people. This is not going to do anything. Dennis is not a believer in this line. All right. Guardian. Feel My Wrath is a very prominent skill for party support right now, but we feel it's overperforming a bit. Seriously? Yeah, a bit. We are reducing the party quickness a bit, but it's compensating the Guardian by increasing the personal quickness gain. We're also improving a few of the weaker utility skills to try and make them more appealing in all game modes. Okay. Where's Feel My Wrath? They have the... Alright, right here. Reduce recharge from 35 to 30. Now grants 6 quickness to the guard and 3 seconds to other allies instead of 5 to all. Alright, chat. You know what this changes? Very little. They will slightly tweak their gear set to have more concentration, and then everything will be exactly how it was. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Symbol of Vengeance. Reduce the duration of Cripple inflicted from 3 to 2. Chapter 1, Searing Spell. Reduce the damage dealt by this skill by 14%. In PvE only. Reduce the duration of... Okay, minor nerf to Burn Brand in PvE. Reduce the duration of burning inflicted from 6 to 5. Another minor nerf to Burn Brand across the board. Reduce the base healing of this skill by 18% PvE only. Increase the healing power of this skill by 15% in PvE only. So it's going to be worse for... I don't know if it'll be better or worse for heal brands, but it will be worse for non-heal brands. Link notes blocks. I have linked them like 32 times. There you go. Shining River. Reduce the swiftness duration from 5 to 4. Reduce the base healing by 16% and the effective heal power of the skill. Again, they're nerfing the base, but they're buffing how much it's empowered by healing power, so it will be... Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. This one's reduced. The other one was increased. This one is just nerfed in every way, shape, and form. Zealous Blade fixed a bug. That's fine. Hold the line, reduce the cooldown. They're going to have to reduce the cooldown by another 29 seconds for a Mai to be able to use this reliably, because he hits it when it's not needed. Retreat. This skill now uses ammunition with 5 seconds between activations and a 30-second count recharge. What does it do right now? Aegis, swiftness on 5 targets. They can now hold 2 charges of block on demand for their whole team. That could be... This might see a lot of play on raid bosses. This is going to be so easy to block raid boss mechanics when you have freaking 5-man Aegis on an ammo system. Ooh! Judge's Intervention. Reduce cooldown from 45 to 40. Litany of Wrath. Increase damage to healing conversion from 25 to 33. I believe Litany is the healing skill that if they use it, they get a lot of basically life stealing. And the life stealing has been buffed. Okay. Yeah, you already have the Firebrand. Yeah, but it's going to be better or easier. Leap of Faith. Increase base healing by 5 times? Wait, what is this? Leap at your foe, inflicts blindness, and heals you for every one hit. They quintupled the healing? That's heals you for each foe hit. So if this guy Greatsword 3s into like a Minion Mancer, he's gonna get healed for like 5,000 to 6,000. Bringing a Minion Mancer to fight against a Guardian just became very, very bad. Reduce cooldown from 10 to 8 seconds on Mighty Blow in PvP World v World. Same for Glacial Blow. Whirling Wrath. Increase melee strike power coefficient from 0.3 to 0.4 in PvP World v World. Reduced projectile power coefficient from 0.25 to 0.1. Okay, let me tell you what this means. The Whirling Wrath is the one where they hold their greatsword and they spin like a top. This means if you're in melee range, it hurts more. But if you're further away and just the bolts hit you, it hurts less than half as much. Pure of Heart, reduce the healing coefficient by, oh my god, a lot. In World v World only. This was Aegis heals when it blocks an attack. Alright, that's the Guardian section. My main issue with Guardian is they have a complete lockdown on the healing spot in 5-man content, and nothing here changes that. Nothing here changes that. So, honestly, Dennis cares very little, and Dennis is sad. But they're still going to be the best healer in 5-mans. They're going to be still very good in raids, which is fine. I don't want them to be bad. And they're going to be great in PvP still. You're wrong about that. I'm wrong about that. I don't see anything that's going to really change that. They're still one of 2 classes that gives consistent quickness. They're one of 2 classes that gives consistent stability. They can still got many ways to block projectiles, apply almost every other boon in the game and vulnerability, and they are good healers at the same time. I mean, I said in 5-mans. Like high-end fractals, challenge mode, stuff like that, I stand by that right now. I haven't yet seen anything that changes my mind on that. Anyway, Mesmer. The main change for Mesmers in this update, okay, this one's huge, chat, pay attention. The restoration of self-shattering Chronomancers. This was their trade-off. They just undid it. Which means Chrono might be viable in PvP again. They can shatter without clones. This change was originally made to emphasize the difference between a Chronomancer shatter skills and core Mesmer shatter skills, but this ended up making them more difficult to use. Instead, we're focusing more on the differences of functionality between Chronomancer and core Mesmer shatter skills rather than the cost to activate them. Additionally, we're making a few small changes to Mirage skills to improve their usability. The trade-off is no distortion shatter. Well, now you can argue the trade-off is no distortion shatter. Before, it was definitely both. 98% of the time when you need a healer in a fractal, you're better off taking a heal Renegade instead of a heal Firebrand. Signed all of Descartize. That's fine, Rebby. In, like, the actual game, if you go to the LFG Finder, I very rarely see groups doing that. I mean, Descartize is the best of the best of the best, sir, with honors, you know? I realize they represent the top 1%, but the other 99 aren't all doing that. Okay, Chronomancer Shatter skills now be activated without clones, and the Shatter effect also occurs at the Mesmer's location. Shatter effect also occurs where the Mesmer is. Additionally, the following balance changes have been made. Split second. Damage reduced by 33%. No longer does bonus damage to slowed foes. Instead, it hits twice with a 1 second delay between strikes. Shatter traits will only affect the first hit. Ouch. Rewinder. The cooldown per clone spent has been reduced from 5 to 3. The Mesmer now counts as a clone for this reduction. The Mesmer now counts as a clone for bonuses. Increase recharge from 25 to 30. Thanks for the respect, but I don't want you to be saying publicly that Firebrand is the only good healer. As a druid main, druid, tempest, engineer, and most of the general public will not accept the Renegade's healer, or the Revenant healer. Like anything but Firebrand, the general community won't accept that in a pug for a 5-man. Some people that understand more of the game mechanics will. Most of the general public won't. So like if you make a druid or a tempest and you go into like the group finder and you're like, yo, LFG challenge mode, most people won't take you. Back to business. Time sync, reduce day's duration from 1 second to 0.5. Timed continuous split skill has a 1.5 second duration with no clones. 1.5 seconds is added per clone shattered. The skill no longer grants distortion. Heal Scourge, even less often. It has the lowest HPS of any of the healers. Master Fragmentation, this trait has been reworked and now increases base duration of continuum split by 1 second. Inspiring Distortion trait now also triggers when activating Shatter Skill 4. Flow of Time, the trait has been reworked. Now counts the Mesmer as a clone again. Reduced alacrity gained per clone from 1.5 to 1. Oh. Okay, so 3 clones gave you 4.5 seconds of alacrity. Now 3 clones plus you give you 4. Interesting. Seize the Moment, the trait has been reworked and now counts the Mesmer as a clone. Reduce quickness gain per clone in PvE from 2 to 1.5. Okay, so that's so that'll be the same. If you've got max clones, it's the same. Reduce quickness gain per clone in PvE World v World from 1 to 0.75. Mind Spike. Fixed a bug that caused the skill to display the incorrect tooltip damage in competitive game modes. Phantasmal Swordsman. The Phantasma now summon based on the target's location rather than the Mesmer's. That's good. I mean, that's a buff. Mirage Retreat. This skill no longer breaks enemy targeting. Oh. Return to your starting point and leave behind a clone at your previous location. No longer breaks enemy targeting. Chaos Vortex. Increase the number of targets from 5 to 10. That's Staff 1? Oh, that's the ambush of Staff 1. Wow. 5 to 10. That's a big one. Crystal Sands. Reduce the aftercast by 0.4 seconds. Increase projectile speed such that Mirror now forms 0.25 seconds faster. Minor Mirage buff. Alright. Necromancer. Necro and Chrono were changed in massive, massive ways, y'all. The Necromancer traits for Signets and Wells have long occupied a difficult place in the most builds since they exist on the Grandmaster tier and typically have not provided enough power to warrant taking up the Grandmaster traits. Chat, I'm going to tell you exactly why that is. It's in the Blood trait line, and it competes with Transfusion. Transfusion is the ability to teleport all downed allies to you when you hit F4, which a Scourge can do like every 15 seconds, and just constantly make rezzing easy. And you had to give that up to gain the trait that reduced well cooldowns by 20% and buffed wells with damage. So they're saying, in most builds, they exist on the Grandmaster tier and typically have not provided enough power to warrant taking them over the Grandmaster traits. I don't even remember what the third thing in the tier is. It's like Wells, Transfusion, and no one cares. That's what's there right now. We're moving the Signet trait, removing the Well trait, and replacing the Grandmaster slot with new, more broadly functioning traits that we feel will be more competitive with other options at that tier. Shade skills. These have been changed back to triggering at both the Necromancer's location and their Shade locations. Now, I'm gonna tell you, because I've already read the comments under the forum post, the general community is freaking out, thinking that that means that Shade skills just went from 5 targets back up to 10, and it's the end of the World v World as we know it. They are freaking out. Deathly Swarm, which I believe is a dagger skill 4, is reduce the conditions transferred per target struck from 3 to 2 in PvE only. Vampiric Rituals, this trait has been removed and replaced with Bloodbang. Now, Vampiric Rituals is the reduced cooldown time of Wells. Wells give protection, and Wells do damage and life siphon. Now, it is Bloodbang. It causes healing over your max health amount to be converted into barrier, but regeneration won't count. So you can essentially be healed to 150% health. That's what this says. That is a interesting option. Well of Blood. Now, because they took away the Well trait, they're giving it to almost everybody. Well of Blood, reduced by 5 seconds. Ritual of Life, reduce. This is the trait that makes you do a Well of Blood automatically when you res someone. Well, Ritual of Life, reduce the recharge from 35 to 30. Well of Corruption, reduce the recharge by 8 seconds. Well of Darkness, which is the blinding one, reduce recharge by 10 seconds. It's no longer unblockable, but has a damaging strike associated with it. It will now do 2 seconds of chill and blind per pulse. I fear for my life in PvP fighting this. Blinding, chilling Wells with 25-second cooldowns. Oh my god. Well of Power, reduce recharge from 30 to 25 in PvE. Reduce recharge from 40 to 35 in PvP in World of World. Well of Suffering, reduce recharge from 30 to 25. Signet of the Locust. Now, here's what it does right now. It's the run speed one, and if you smash the button, it does some health steal. Now, it also converts up to 2 boons on struck nearby foes into healing for you. So it takes away their boons and it heals you. You're like, nom 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 boons. Signet of Vampirism, which is a healing skill option. It puts a signet on the enemy, and if people hit them, they gain life. Signet of Vampirism, now, this has been reworked. It now causes the Necromancer to steal a small amount of health from a nearby foe every second while in combat. That's freaking Anub'arak's Locust Swarm from World of Warcraft and Heart of Storm, or Heroes of the Storm. Okay. So every second while in combat, they're nibbling at nearby enemies? Well, okay. Signet of Suffering. This trait has been moved to the Master tier and replaces Dread. The Enhanced Signet effect now only activates while in Shroud. The enhanced effect for Signet of the Locust has changed to be 33% movement speed. That's up from 25. The enhanced effect for Vampirism has changed to increase the number of targets to 2 for passive life siphon. Holy crap. That means if you're fighting a Necro and you've got, I don't know, a pet, they heal twice as much from this trait. Dread. This trait has been moved to the Grandmaster slot previously occupied by Signet of Suffering and has been reworked. It now grants 5 seconds of quickness and 10 seconds of fury whenever the Necro applies fear to an enemy, with a 3-second cooldown. Oh, Christ. Additionally, it reduces the recharge of Shroud Skill 3 by 50% whenever an enemy is killed in PvE and PvP, and by 5% in World v World. Whenever they fear you, they get 5 seconds of quickness and 10 seconds of fury. Chat, I'm afraid right now. I think I just gave someone quickness somewhere. Some Necro somewhere is speeding around. He has no idea wrong, and it's because I'm reading this and I'm scared. Holy crap. Okay, yo, I need a drink. Oh my god. Jesus. All right. Ranger, finally what we've all been waiting for. Damage build Sobies have been unleashing numbers that are higher than they should be. This is on a broad level, rather than being tied to particular weapons or utility skills. Yes, they noticed Icy Hot. As such, we're tapping the power and condition damage bonuses they gain while merged with deadly and ferocious pets for some reductions. For those that don't know, if a ranger merges with something like a power type pet, such as the Rock Gazelle, they gain like 200 power or something. And if you merge with something like a spider, you gain 200 condition damage, which is why in PvE they're merged like 100% of the time. In competitive game modes, druids have been seeing significantly less use for their supportive abilities, because Tempest and Firebrands exist. We're tuning those up to encourage bringing the affected traits and glyphs. The glyphs are so bad. Protect Me! Fixed a bug that prevented the skill from granting the barrier while Ranger was merged. Thank God. This has been broken for months. I'm not even super happy. I'm just like, it's about freaking time. Like, literally, our best stun break has just been a broken mess for months. I love your videos and stream, but do you have any other background music? The same tune plays for hours on end. It's actually like 15 songs that are on a rotation, Zizzy. And also, a lot of streamers are basically getting destroyed right now because of copyright, so I'm big scared. I'm big scared. I think you fixed this by bringing it up somewhere. I did message Ben P about it, and he said that they were already on it. Viper's Nest. Okay. Viper's Nest is not often used because Flame Trap's better. It's usually used if you've already got Flame Trap and you're running double traps, which is a scary thing. But they've increased the duration of poison from 4 to 8, but reduced the stacks per pulse from 3 to 2. Now there's 3 pulses. So it went from 9 to 6, but doubled the duration. So that means they've got more time to cleanse it and not take as much damage. But if they don't cleanse it, they'll take more, I think. Deadly Archetype. Okay, I'm gonna summarize this. Whether you were getting Condi damage or power from your pets, it's changing from plus 200 to plus 150. So that's a total of minus 50 power or minus 50 condition damage to the merged ranger. That's it. That's what those 2 lines say. All right. These 2 skills are Astral 2 and Astral 3 for Druid. Seed of Life. Increase number of conditions cleansed from 2 to 3. That's, it's like a very short cooldown. It's like a 1 second cooldown. They can almost spam it. It's when they put the little, it's in PvP and World v World on those things. Oh, sorry, you mean the minus 50 to power and condition damage? Yes, that's PvE only. The math nerds told us that minus 50 power is a 1.5% decrease. Yeah, okay, that's the common man won't notice it probably, but yeah, the big boys at the top might complain. But yeah, Seed of Life in PvP and World v World now cures an extra condition. They're trying to urge us to use the skill. Lunar Impact. That is the Ranger's biggest heal. It's the one that looks like the huge beam of light slams down on the ground. It also dazes enemies in the area. They're increasing the healing coefficient majorly. They are trying to convince us to use Astroform. Vine Surge. Vine Surge is Staff 4. It is when you send out the skill shot, very narrow line that roots people if it hits them. It is being increased by a half second in PvP and World v World. Grace of the Land. This is a joke. Okay. Grace of the Land is the skill in PvE that a druid would take if they want to give might to their raid. It makes every heal they do give 2 might to everyone around them, to 10 people. But one of the other options in that tier is the thing where they root you when they hit you, which is basically always taken in PvP. You just root the crap out of people, right? You guys have fought druids before. That's the annoying part. That's the reason you go druid in PvP. And they're trying to incentivize stacking might in PvP and World v World. I could, maybe World v World, maybe, because like huge raids, but in PvP I don't see anyone ever using this. Glyph of Rejuvenation, and then Glyph of Rejuvenation and Astral. Okay, so Glyph of Rejuvenation heals you a lot and nearby allies for a little. But if you're an astral form, it heals you for a little and nearby allies for a lot. And they have buffed both. They have buffed all forms of the glyph. I don't know that this is going to make many more people play Druid when the alternative is like Tempest, when it's so freaking... Like, a Tempest can heal their team, put blocks on their team, go invulnerable when they need to, and also kill you with Lightning Rod. Druid can either heal or be annoying. The killing's not really on the menu. I think the few bunker Druids that do exist just got a big buff to their healing, and they're going to be worse. I'm not sure how I feel about the rest of this. Corral says instead of nerfing the stats gained from Archetype, all they had to do is revert the 25th changes to twice as much as maybe. Revenant. Okay, now, we all know Revenants are running amok in PvP right now. And we are really hoping that what I'm about to read is that they are nerfed into the ground. I'm sure that's what I'm about to read, right, chat? Right, chat? This update has some quality of life improvements aimed at Revenants. We added the ability to swap legends in mid-air. It's about time. Changed a couple of skill requirements so that they cannot fail. I wish more would. And set the 7-shot skill to fire without needing ground targeting to allow a Revenant to fire attacks more cleanly at their target. I gotta say, I've never been scared of a Revenant with a short bow, so that's fine. Do whatever you want there. Changes to the Revenant on the competitive side are aimed at reducing sustain available through reductions to damage mitigating abilities. Elevated Compassion. Fixed an issue that caused the cooldown on this trait to overlap poorly with timing of effects from facet skills. What's this gonna do? Heal nearby allies when you grant them boons. Oh, and then facets give nearby allies boons like all the time. Okay. Versed in Stone. Fixed an issue in which this trait would not work with F2. Rise of the Great Dwarf now affects condition damage. When struck below health threshold, cast Ride of the Great Dwarf. Gain power based on toughness. Okay, so that's just a small bug fix. Envoy of Exuberance. Fixed an issue which this skill could be blocked despite it being unblockable. Increase the speed of your projectile by 50%, but reduce protection duration by 1 second. Okay. Soul Cleave Summit. Fixed a bug that could cause the skill to continue to drain energy after it was canceled. Okay, that's a bug. All right. Vengeful Hammers. This skill can now be activated in midair. Great. Now I have to fear angry dwarves leaping at my face and hitting me in the cheek with a hammer. Excellent. Protective Solace. This skill can now be activated in midair. Okay. Inspiring Reinforcement. Increase the height of the affected area to prevent it from missing jumping players. I'll take this one. Let me explain this. This is the road. That's the yellow brick road they put down, and you gain stability when you're on it. If you jumped, you didn't get stability. This is fine. Like, this is one of their key mechanics, and it was easy for it to not work when you needed it. So they were just, as far as I'm concerned, that's a bug fix. Ancient Echo. This skill is now available underwater. Wait a minute. If the new Necro is fighting a Renegade, and the Renegade's on his road, can the Necro just keep corrupting his crap into fears and getting quickness over and over and over until he's dead? I'm gonna be, yo, if I ever see a Necro fighting a Revenant, I'm just gonna sit back and just Michael Jackson popcorn emote. Just oh my god. Ancient Echo, now usable underwater. Finally! I've been complaining forever. Phase Transversal. This skill now performs a pathing check. Your skills didn't do pathing checks? You grotesque, corpse-stealing, can't do anything by yourself without taking skills from somebody else. Pieces of crap. Didn't even have pathing checks on your skills? Oh my god. Okay, so 2 of their skills that they use to teleport through walls now make sure you're in a good spot before they teleport through the wall. When teleporting through the mist, no path check required. Lucas, I'm completely okay with that as long as there's a chance they appear inside a wall like Nightcrawler from the X-Men and they kill themselves. No path check is okay as long as there's a chance they appear in a wall and can die. Let's continue. Legends. Swapping legends can now be done in midair. Needed. 7-shot now requires a target and is no longer ground targeted. The arrows fired by this skill now fire at the selected target rather than at a set point. Increase the casting time by 0.2 seconds. Arrows now fire straight instead of following terrain. In addition, what would they like take a left turn? And additional arrows now fire sequentially in pairs rather than simultaneously. Okay, sounds like they're a better ranger than I am now. Demonic resistance. Oh, how I hate you. When you have resistance, you take 33% less damage and 20% less in PvP. Okay, that's what that does. Reduced from 20 to 10. All right, yeah, freaking, it's a start. It's a freaking start. Fiendish tenacity. When invoke torment grants resistance. Resistance heals you every interval. They have reduced the healing from, wait, where did it go? 197 to 132. So they're getting slightly less regeneration from their resistance. Crystal hibernation. The pulse healing of their Shield 5 has been minorly changed. I don't know if I've ever been scared of their Shield 5's healing. Spirit Boon. Reduce protection duration when invoking Glint from 3 to 2. Okay, so this is when they first go into Glint mode. So I get 2 seconds of protection now. Shining Aspects, which is when you use a Consume skill. Reduce the heal from 444 to 355 in PvP and World v World. Facet of Chaos. Reduce protection duration from 3 to 2 in PvP and World v World. Half of this was allowing them to jump in the air while swinging hammers. There's bug fixes, revealing the fact that they never used pathing. They can use skills underwater, and now, dude, underwater and in the air, they're like the freaking oh my god, they're fish birds. And then the only thing, I think the only thing here which helps in any way, shape, or form is this. A little bit. This right here is the only thing I see affecting anything in PvP at this moment. Hello, Jinxie. Okay. Well, at least all of us together can agree that we're happy that when we do challenge mode fractals, we can jump on the road. Thief! I will remind you all earlier, at the very beginning of the notes, they said that Thief has more coming. This is not all of what is going to happen for Thief. 1,000 Needles. Increase bleeding duration from 3 to 5 for the impact and pulsing attacks. 1,000 Needles is a utility skill which unleashes a hail of needles doing many conditions. Shadow Strike. Repeater availability duration has been reduced from 4 to 3. Okay, so let's just say there is pretty much nothing here for Thief, and the Thief notes are still on the way. So keep your fingers crossed if you care about Thieves. Warrior. Warrior updates are focused around improvements to some of the lesser used offhand weapons, as well as some lesser used traits in PvE. Since these weapons see little use in competitive modes, we're being a little aggressive with the changes, but we'll be watching to see if they become overbearing. Are we about to see Hammer Warriors come back, chat? Oh, I'm scared. Alright! Break enchantments. Increase the damage dealt by this skill by 50%, from 1 to 1.5 coefficient, in PvE only. Raise the damage increase from 100 to 300% when the warrior removes a boon from a target. Okay, so when a warrior rips a boon off of a target, this seems like an attempt. Okay, chat. I've already skimmed these, and I'm gonna give you a quick prediction here. Right now, it's Berserker PvE, Spellbreaker PvP. It looks like they're trying to make those cross. This is aimed at making Spellbreaker viable in PvE. I don't know if it's gonna succeed. And you're gonna see nodes that are aimed at trying to make Berserker viable in PvP. Loss Aversion, increased damage dealt by this trait by 50% in PvE only. Brave Stride. Alright, chat, I'm gonna tell you right now, this thing freaking terrifies me. This trait has been reworked. It now grants stability whenever they use a movement skill. I want to remind you that they already have a trait that gives them an immobilization break whenever they use a movement skill. So they're going to be the freaking Terminator now. No matter what you do to them, they hit a movement skill and they break all immobes, and they also get stability. And like their greatsword has like 2 movement skills on the weapon alone. Stability duration is 5 seconds in PvE, 2 seconds in competitive mode. It has a 1 second cooldown in PvE and 10 seconds in competitive. That's still terrifying. Dual Strike now increases quickness gained per hit by half a second, PvE only. Counter Blow, reduced recharge from 10 to 7 in PvE. Crushing Blow, reduced vulnerability stacks from 15 to 10, now also grants 3 stacks of might for 6 seconds when it hits. If this attack strikes a foe suffering from control, the might gain and vulnerability application are doubled. They could put 20 stacks of vulnerability on you in 1 click? Sweet Jesus. I'm so scared. Impale Sword. Impale now applies pulsing 1 second cripple in addition to torment. Oh, fantastic. Successfully ripping the blade out now gives you 10 stacks of might for 5 seconds. What? Riposte. Increased bleeding stacks gained on a successful counter from 4 to 8. Increased bleeding duration decrease from 12 to 8. Okay, so the damage is faster. Shorter duration, more damage per second. It's faster bleed. Mending now cures 5 conditions. Mending is a healing skill option. Savage Instinct. This trait is no longer split between game modes and will use the longer 2-second duration for Feel No Pain in all game modes. All right, hold on, let's take a look. When you activate Berserk, you break stuns and reduce incoming damage by 100%. So it was Berserker would be immune to damage for 1 second when they berserked in PvP. Now, when they berserk in PvP, they're immune to all damage for 2 seconds. Immune to all damage and they stun break. And, you know, they're berserk. So again, they're trying to make Spellbreaker better in PvE and Berserker better in PvP. Which, honestly, I respect that. I would like to see builds not be segregated by game type. I would like to see them, you know, more spread out. So I'm terrified, but I like that they're trying. Outrage, reduce cooldown from 25 to 20 in PvP World v World. Decapitate, increase power coefficient from 1.6 to 2. That's like a 33% increase almost. Decapitate is going to do like 33% more damage in PvP. Oh my god, I'm so scared. These notes are live. They're going live like next week. Blood Reckoning. Increase damage to healing conversion from 25 to 33. Increase berserk mode extension from 2 to 5 in PvP and World v World. Cyclone Axe. No!
I'm about to flavor.
No!
Gryko.
How dare you play this in the newsroom? How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Alright.
Alright, fine, we're reading notes to a beat.
Welcome to Flavor
We're almost
Town.
done. Cyclone Axe does more damage. Throw Axe reduce the recharge, and it's an ammo system, so that's significant. And Breaching Strike increase the damage significantly. That's the end, but we know at the very least, Thieves have a lot more coming. So chat, let's recap. Elementalist, lots of minor changes. Specifically, they can go invulnerable a lot less often, and if you interrupt them, they can't just change elements to get out of being dazed anymore, which is bull crap. And lots of minor cooldown reductions. Engineer, main hand gun is better, offhand shield is arguably better. They are still going to be gods of grenades, and all of the ultimates that no one was ever using are now have a much shorter cooldown. They're trying to get you to play those. Guardian, they're still amazing. Mesmer, Chronomancers just lost their trade-off and are now very good, possibly. Also, Mesmer got some minor buffs. Chaos Vortex now hits 10 people, which is terrifying. That's when they come out of their Mirage and ambush you with their Staff 1. It can hit 10 freaking people. Necromancers. Scourges can once again hit everything around them and around the area their shade is at. And they were like, you know, no one ever takes the Well trait because Transfusion's too good, so they gave the Well trait to everybody. So all Wells have a much shorter cooldown, and specifically Well of Darkness is going to be very scary. It's 25-second cooldown, and it now chills and blinds everything in the area every second. Also Dread, whenever they fear someone, they gain 5 seconds of quickness. This is going to kill some peeps. Locust and Vampirism completely reworked and quite nice. Ranger, Protect Me. This isn't even a buff. This is them fixing a bug. Protect Me was working up until a few months ago, then they broke it and they just finally fixed it. PvE, we're looking at a 1 to 2% damage nerf for Soul Beast. Viper's Nest, they changed how it works. They buffed Druid healing in PvP and World v World. I don't know if that's going to make it as good as Tempest. Where can I read this? Right there. Revenant is still God mode, but now they can be God mode while freaking jumping. Or underwater. Thief, there's more to come. Warrior, they're trying to make Spellbreaker good in PvE, and they're trying to make Berserker good in PvP. I'm looking forward to my Protect Me getting fixed. Because I'm going to need it with all these spheres. I'm going to need it with all these spheres. Okay, so new Revenant might be like 2% less scary. New Warrior, terrifying. New Necro, terrifying. New Mesmer, terrifying. Firebrand, about the same. Engineer, about the same. It's already scary. Elementalist might be slightly better. I feel like everyone just got scarier except Ranger, honestly. And Thief, I don't know yet. Oh my god. Alright, chat. That's the news. I feel like I should advise you all buy a lot of dried foods and water and hide in your bunkers in your basements until the next patch, because this one's going to be scary. Okay. I wish I had a better note to end on. I'm freaking terrified. I'm just scared right now. Alright, guys. See you next time. Bye.